Lost Island is the immersive new theme park that opened up mid-2022 in Waterloo, Iowa. Almost any other park you're going to find in Midwest is going to be packed full of rides and attractions with very little theming, and Lost Island puts theming at the forefront. Everything is highly detailed and cohesive from start to finish. Every attraction there is intentional, has a purpose, and looks like it belongs. It might not quite be to the level of theming that you get with a theme park down in like Orlando, but that's because the owners here also had a lot smaller of a budget to work with. Supposedly the whole park was built with a $100 million budget, which when you think about it is wildly impressive, especially considering how many attractions are here. We're looking at 3 roller coasters, a couple thrilling flat rides, and many family attractions. I had the opportunity to experience the park during its second year of operation when everything was open, and I'm going to walk you through the different lands, talk about my experience here, and because this park is so new, also talk about its future and what I'd love to see there. So let's first start things off with one of the biggest downsides with Lost Island, and that is unfortunately its location. This is not the easiest park to get to. It's in Waterloo, Iowa, where there's not a whole lot else there. It's the 8th largest city in the state, population about 67,000 people, not home to any major airports. You're about 2 hours from Des Moines, about 4 hours from Chicago, 3.5 hours from Minneapolis, only an hour from Cedar Rapids, but it makes this park kind of a pain to visit. Unless you're a local, you're probably going to have to travel a far distance to get here. But I think the owner's goal with this park is that they have created a place that is going to be worth traveling to. I mean, I'm from the East Coast and I went out to Iowa to experience it, and I had a great time. I was very glad to go. But the whole reason the park is here is because the owners of Lost Island Theme Park started off with Lost Island Water Park, which is just down the road. The water park has been pretty successful, voted one of the top water parks in the country, so they made the decision to get into the theme park game. And from a design perspective, they're off to a really strong start. Yes, they certainly have the odds against them when it comes to location, but I can think of plenty of parks out there that are in kind of remote locations that are very popular. Silverwood, Silver Dollar City, Knoebels, even Wild Adventures to some extent. So it can be done. Part of me really does wish that they were able to build that theme park though literally right next to the water park so you could just walk between the two. The fact that they're a mile down the road from each other does kind of suck. But the parks are an adequate enough size that if you wanted to do an entire day dedicated to both properties, you absolutely could. They offer combo tickets and season passes, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but that is an option. So when you arrive at Lost Island, you're greeted with this amazing front entrance. And I gotta say, they've created something really iconic here. I loved that view walking up to this park. The detail is amazing, the logo looks fantastic, the placement of the Ferris wheel directly ahead, so cool, and immediately after you pass through that gate, you have the entire park out in front of you. Iowa is very flat, so you can see everything, which immediately is a very different experience from most parks where you have to walk among the pathways and discover each of the attractions as you go along. Here you get a 360 view of everything. What you see is what you get. So let's talk about the 5 realms that make up Lost Island. We're looking at Tamariki, Awa, Mura, Udara, and Yuta, otherwise known as Spirit, Water, Fire, Air, and Earth. The whole park is themed to the different elements, which is a very creative theme in my opinion. You don't need to have any prior knowledge about pre-existing characters, you just come in and discover things as you go. So first, the Tamariki land is off to the right hand side, and that's like your kids area. There's some like play structures, the smallest roller coasters over there, it's a Wacky Worm. That's actually the only brand new roller coaster in this land, the other 2 are relocations. But the Tamariki people are the magical guardians of the land. They maintain the balance of the sacred elements. At least that's the story behind it. I don't know if that necessarily translates as you're walking around. I think in the future there's probably more they could do theming wise to help really convey that story. But I think the color palette of all the rides and everything in the land does help with that, and you'll see that with each of these areas. You immediately know when you're in the next land. So let's talk about the land next door. That's Udara. These people make contraptions that take to the skies, and they live in a floating city. Everything here is white and purple. You have a Gerstlauer Skyfly, which is a lot of fun. If you've never done one of those things, they're awesome. The big roller coaster here is Nopoko Air Coaster, which I'm not gonna lie, is awful. It was a relocation from Ratanga Junction in South Africa. It's a Vekoma SLC and probably has the single most painful moment I've ever experienced on any roller coaster, which is when you ride in the front row. At the top of the first inversion right after the drop, there is a huge pothole where I just slammed my head into the back of the seat, and it hurt so bad. For whatever reason, the The front is worse than the back. That moment is at least tolerable in the back. Still not great, but I cannot emphasize this enough. Avoid the front at all costs. The ride up there was literally warning everyone before riding about how rough this roller coaster was. But the new trains do help. They are better than like the older Vekoma SLC trains. You don't get that side-to-side headbanging, but they gotta do something about those potholes. That could like seriously hurt someone. It's good that they warn you before you ride this. The other big attraction here is an S&S shot tower. This is a relocation from Buffalo Bill's Hotel and Casino just outside of Las Vegas. It's a very underwhelming drop tower. It brings you up to the top and then the drop isn't even that good, but it's got a nice view. The main reason that I recommend you experience this though is because the queue in pre-show, yes, there's a pre-show, are awesome. It's such a cool theme. Like the people here are telling their story about flight and the designs are beautiful. So it's a great way to turn like a mediocre ride into something really special. So that's Udara. Next up is Ewa. The Ewa people are nomads who sail around the world living on the coast. So naturally everything here is pretty blue. There's a splash battle, which is a perfect ride for a water themed land. I love this fun like water globe here. It's a really cool visual and great play structure. The main reason I spent time in this land was because of the Whalebone Grill, which is like the big restaurant here in the park. Or at least one of two. I only had one meal, but it was really good. They had a ton of options. I chose to order the coconut shrimp and the pulled pork mac and cheese. I also tried some of my friends' Asian noodles, and everything was like reasonably priced and tasted great. You can get your typical theme park food here, but I really liked that they had more variety than a lot of other parks. So as you exit Ewa and make your way around the back side of the park, the fourth land that you'll meet is Utah. So this is Earth. These people explore their jungle home, making friends with all the different creatures who inhabit it. There's another big restaurant back there that's in this like giant tree. Looks like something from Lord of the Rings, right? I didn't get the opportunity to check this place out, but I will next time. I really like the centerpiece that they have in this land. Kind of looks like a temple. The main roller coaster here is Madagani. There's already a full review of this roller coaster up on this channel. Please go check that out if you want to hear all about that ride. But that is like the signature roller coaster of Lost Island. The other main attraction here is a log flume, Utah Falls. Unfortunately, I ran out of time to experience this one, which I was really bummed about. I actually really wanted to do it, but it certainly looks great. So I'll move on and talk about the last theme, which has a big volcanic theme, and that is Mura. The Mura people are fierce warriors who guard the Orotika idol, which is the most important artifact on the island. And you can learn about that in the signature attraction here, Volcano Quest for the Golden Idol. First of all, it was nice and refreshing for me to see a volcano back in the park again after my home park, King's Dominion, removed theirs, which I'm still super sad about. But this volcano looks awesome, and this is a really cool ride. Not only is the facade visually stunning, but the ride has a well-themed queue. There's a whole pre-show that explains what you gotta do. You have to stop Volcano before he destroys Lost Island. You're gonna board a trackless ride vehicle. You have a gun in front of you. You're gonna shoot different things that appear on the screens, but there are lots of physical sets, and the physical set pieces for me were definitely the highlight. There's some really cool animatronics in there. I personally did not feel like it needed to be a shooting dark ride. I felt like the story was compelling enough that it captures riders' interests, but by making a shooting ride, it does extend the ride time. I know a lot of kids will like those interactive experiences. I really enjoyed this ride. I think it's one of the best dark rides in the US, especially when you exclude the ones at Universal and Disney. But honestly, when I think about it, I would take this over several Universal or Disney dark rides that I'm not a huge fan of. I thought the theme of this was so cool and everything was really well done. So this is probably the big highlight of the park. But also in the Mura area is a top spin, there's a frisbee, a big old Zamperla disco, really nice looking land. I also really like the interactive feature right here outside of the volcano where you can make some of the water jets shoot up. So I think anyone who visits Lost Island will be very pleased with the level of detail that's gone into this place. It really is a great start for a park, and there's certainly things that they could do to build that up even more. I look forward to seeing how this place evolves over the next coming years. I know probably the big thing that everyone complains about that definitely needs something to be done about it is trees and shade. You won't find really any shade in this park at all. You're going to spend a lot of time in the sun. So from my understanding, the owners are planning on putting in more shade across the park, which will definitely help. Along that same line of thought, I'd really like to see like more of a berm put up around the border of the park to kind of block out the outside world. There's some points when you're in the Mura or Utah area where you can literally just see where the park ends and see the cornfields behind it that is Iowa. And the whole point of Lost Island is to transport you somewhere else. You feel like you're in Hawaii. I don't want to be reminded that I'm in Iowa. So I think something like that would really help to keep you immersed in the theme. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room here, and that is that unfortunately, Lost Island has not been doing super well in terms of attendance. Last year, they did about 23,000 people. That's from June to the end of August. They had a late opening, word didn't spread, they didn't do as much advertising, not all of the attractions were open, so not a lot of people came out and visited. This year, attendance has doubled. So as of right now, we're looking at about 46,000 people. They're doing more online advertising, but still not a ton of like billboards surrounding the park. As with a lot of construction projects, they went over budget, and so they haven't been able to spend as much money on advertising. So hopefully next year, that'll be a little bit better, because I think that some signs to help tell the people of Iowa that, hey, this place exists would really help. Right now, I think the big way that people are finding out about this place is really just word of mouth. Now, something else that they might want to consider is pricing. A Lost Island one-day ticket is about $48 on a weekend, $43 on a weekday. The water park is about $10 cheaper. That's a pretty fair price for a theme park. The problem is that Lost Island is two separate parks, a water park and a theme park. If a guest wants to visit both, you're looking at over $70. And that's your one day. Because as I mentioned, you could do the theme park and water park in one day if you really want to. Compare that to the nearby Adventureland, which has a water park built into the theme park. So you're getting both experiences. That's the same price as just a ticket to the Lost Island theme park. And Adventureland also has way more to do. It's a much more developed theme park. Yes, it's not themed, but you can spend a lot more time at Adventureland. What else is nearby? Worlds of Fun. They're the same thing. Also around $45 and includes a water park in the theme park. The only thing that's around the same price level that is also just a theme park is Six Flags Great America. Their Hurricane Harbor is separate admission. But think about how many roller coasters Six Flags Great America has, and also in a way more convenient location. I think when people are really comparing prices and putting a value on that experience, that's why Lost Island isn't getting as much attendance. It also doesn't help when their season passes are definitely overpriced. If you want a Lost Island theme park and water park season pass, it is $375. Just a theme park season pass is $200. Just a water park season pass is $175. So the combo pass isn't even a deal. That's like buying a theme park and water park season pass separate. The only reason why it's like technically a deal is there's also a water park gold pass, which is $250. And so when you do the combo pass, it's essentially an upgrade to gold for the water park. But again, let's go back to Adventureland. You can get an Adventureland Silver Pass for $112. So that's theme park plus water park for less than the price to just have a water park season pass at Lost Island. The Gold Pass is still cheaper than the Lost Island theme park pass. If you got an Adventureland Platinum Pass, which also gives you entry to all of the other Palace theme parks in the chain, you are paying less than a season pass to Lost Island theme park. I'm sorry, but if you want to stay competitive and get more people to go, you have to be realistic. Lost Island is a great park, but first you have to get people in the gate. Raise your prices when you have more attractions that are on a similar quantity to your competitors. Then you can charge that much. Right now, their season passes are more comparable to like a SeaWorld pass. And those parks are way more well established. They have better rides, and they're just as beautiful. Especially right now when the park is so new, they're really struggling for attendance. In addition to more advertising, I think you gotta start at least putting out some more deals. For this time only, we're gonna give you a discount if you get a theme park plus water park admission, or before they open for the year, discounted season passes. Typically, before people visit a theme park, they want to know how much they're spending. But once they've paid that admission and they're immersed in that environment, they probably aren't thinking about how much they spent to get there. And then once they've had that experience, they're more likely to recommend it to someone. But you have to get them in the gate first. And if you can't get them in the gate, then you gotta lower your prices. From what I understand, Lost Island needs about 1,000 people in the park per day to at least break even. And it seems like there's been a lot of days where they haven't even been able to do that. Luckily, the water park is still successful that they're able to balance things out, but I really want this park to succeed. So let's say, long term, they are able to get more people in the gate. What does the future of this park look like? I think there's so much potential, and I started thinking about future ride ideas, and here's a couple that came to mind. Right now, the roller coasters are all relocations or off-the-shelf models, so you have to be realistic about what they could afford. The main gap in their lineup is an in-between roller coaster for the Wacky Worm and Matagani. That's a kiddie coaster and a thrill coaster. A family coaster that would be really nice here is a Vekoma Family Boomerang. They could go with one of their off-the-shelf models and give them a roller coaster that go forwards and backwards, and I think it'd look really nice. I like what Energylandia did when they put their Family Boomerang over the water, so you could put that in the AWA section, and I think that could look really cool. I also think this park would do really well with a mine train. These ride types are really themable, can have a cool story, be long ride experiences often with more than one lift hill, and it's just something that everyone can enjoy. Put one of those in the Earth section, Utah, and I think that'd be really cool. And because I'm having fun, let's say they get really successful, I'd love to see a Vekoma flying coaster here, something like Fly. That's totally a pipe dream, but I mean, think about something like that in the air section. Oh, it'd be cool. In terms of non-roller coasters, I'd love to see a Rapids here. I also think a Zamperla Nebulas would be really cool. Put that in the air section, right alongside the Gerstlauer Skyfly. That could look really cool. And Lost Island has tons of room to expand. When we interviewed the general manager, which that whole video can already be found on the channel, please go check it out and hear what he had to say. One of the things he mentioned is that long term they'd love to see another dark ride here. If they're able to keep up that immersion like what you have with Volcano, then we could be looking at something really, really special. So to wrap things up, Lost Island has a lot to do here for families. You'll see a lot of play structures, kids attractions. They have rides here for the thrill seekers, some really tasty food, beautiful scenery, and you can just tell that a lot of passion has been put into this place. The owners care. They're in the park every day keeping up with it. They turned an empty plot of land that was literally just cornfields into something that people can just come out, have a good time, walk away with great memories, and I think that's really cool. I wish them the best of luck, and I encourage all of you to come out to Lost Island Theme Park in Waterloo, Iowa, show them your support, and let me know what you think of it. And if you have had the opportunity to check out Lost Island, please post all those thoughts down in the comment section below. And of course, stay tuned for more theme park and roller coaster reviews here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.